Hello and welcome. I'm Kamla. My guest today is Sukhi Singh, who is a former teacher turned cook turned business person. Sukhi, as she's known, is the head of a multi-million-dollar food company that is located in Hayward in the East Bay here in the Bay Area. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, from our kitchen to your table is the tagline for your company. And I want to know, how did you start your journey 20 years ago from your kitchen to our table with a Bran mixer? That's all you had?
That's all I had. I had a Bran mixer and a bucket.
Why? What did the bucket do?
I mixed my pastes in that and filled up the bottles with a funnel, a kitchen funnel, and took them to the store.
And sold them?
And sold them, yeah.
So let's go back to when did you came to California in?
I actually immigrated in 1982, but then kept going back and forth and finally moved out here in 85.
85?
Yeah.
And when you came here, you started a deli?
No, I first worked for my sister who had a street vending business of ice cream. I used to manage the business for her, and my brother-in-law taught me everything about business. And also, you know, I never knew how to balance a checkbook, which he taught me. I'd never done it in my life. So that was a very good introduction to business. I managed that for 2 years. Then I bought a deli in a sandwich place in Oakland.
In Oakland?
Yeah, downtown Oakland.
And what prompted you to buy a place in Oakland?
We were looking for a business and, you know, fresh out of India. My husband used to be in the Indian Air Force and he'd taken premature retirement and came here. We wanted to be home for the kids in the evening. We wanted weekends off to be with the kids. So we started looking around for a business which would fit into those parameters, and a sandwich place in a downtown space seemed to be one which fitted in. You know, it was only lunchtime business. You were home in the evenings, and weekends it never worked. But one of the misdemeanors of trying to get into business and making a go of it, because then once we had the earthquake and businesses moved out.
This is the Loma Prieta.
Yeah, businesses moved out of the area. We had nowhere to go. We couldn't open on the weekends and make more money, or open on the evenings because there was nobody around to open for. But that was our main consideration, and we went to a business broker. They showed us many businesses. We saw one in downtown Danville. Then we saw this one in Oakland, seemed to be just the right fit because we were not going to work weekends and we were not going to work evenings.
So you're very strict about it?
We were very strict about it because we'd come here only for the children. You know, that was our main goal.
You have 3 kids?
I have 3 children, and let's go there because, you know, in India we had all the political problems with the Sikhs, and we had immigration in our hands, but we hadn't taken it. We just put it on the side. But when all that happened and we didn't know what it was going to be like back home, so we decided to bite the bullet. If the kids grew up tomorrow and said, why didn't you leave when you could? So we said, okay, let's go, we'll settle them and come back. But things, you can plan whatever you like. God has another way of doing things. So then we came out here, and our children were our main goal to settle down.
How old were they?
My son was 8 years old, and my first daughter was 16 when she moved, and Sanjog, my middle daughter, was 12.
So teenagers, a tough age to
Very
move.
tough, 3 kids, and we did not have any professional education in that. You know, my husband was logistics in the Air Force. I was just a school teacher. Then I went to my second love, which was food, and stayed there.
So the earthquake comes and the deli is now suffering.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Well, I started doing Indian catering on the weekends to supplement my income, and
must have been very tough.
Very tough. Very
With 3
tough.
kids?
My kids were my helpers. I didn't pay anybody to come and help me to cook.
So they were little sous chefs?
They were my runners, you know. In the meantime, I got bad knees. So I used to sit and they used to bring everything to me, and I used to, you know, we used to make, at times we had one big catering which was for the Sikh Foundation, and it was the Woman of the Year, so they awarded the contract to me. And we had to do lunch in the De Young Museum, dinner, which was a sit-down dinner with china and flowers and table skirts. Everything had to be proper. I had to be in Sikh colors, and then breakfast and then lunch. And everything had to be taken in because you didn't even have a sink over there in the De Young Museum. And it was all these kids and their school friends who were the helpers. They would get the money, they didn't get the money. The money went towards the business.
So you continued catering for how long then?
Till 1993, till I got under the gun, and my husband and my kids said, no more. You're not doing any more catering. You either do the business or you do catering, forget it. But it was always very tempting because it was a bunch of money in your hand right away. And by that time, my food had come known to people and they used to ask for us. But then I had to stop. You had to pick what you wanted to do.
Was it known as Sukhis then?
No, it was not.
It was.
We learned business as we went along. It was a business from the house. So there was no Sukhi. It was just Sukhi who was being asked to make. It was no business as such. We used to put the money through the deli.
So then how did you start Sukhis then?
I love cooking, but I don't like spending too much time in the kitchen. So I used to make up these sauces and keep them in the fridge, spend the whole day in Oxford Street, come back, and 20 minutes I used to have dinner on the table. And then when I came here, my sister, who had come and stayed with us for some time, would say, can you make me some of that? Because, everybody's running here and both husband and wife working. So I would make up the sauce for her. And other friends started asking for it. When the deli went down, I started putting it on my counter in the deli and people started buying it. And it got a very positive response, and somehow it found its way to Dan Ketioka, who's one of the owners of Berkeley Bowl, to his dinner table. And he told his wife, who was a friend of my sister's, tell this woman to bring this stuff to me, I'll sell it for her. And I had no idea what kind of a store Berkeley Bowl was.
So for those of us who don't know what Berkeley Bowl is.
Berkeley Bowl was the top ethnic store in the Bay Area.
20 years ago.
Yeah, it was only one of its kind. It still is one of the top stores, but you will find every kind of Asian vegetable, Indian vegetable. I still didn't realize the value of Berkeley Bowl. It was just a store who asked for our stuff, but it proved the value of our products, because every time I'd go back, the shelf used to be empty, and we just kept making and putting it. One day we had finally got to proper packaging. And I went to do a demo. I took a lot of stuff with me, and I didn't bring a rice cooker because I used to serve the curry with rice. And I told my husband, I said, can you go back to the deli and pick up a rice cooker? By that time he came back, I'd finished, I'd sold out everything. One of our customers, who was an Indian, came by and said, you're selling this, do you know you have to take FDA permits for it? I said, what is that?
Food and Drug Administration.
Food and Drug Administration. We got on the phone and we looked it up, and we found the lab that tests it and gives you approval for the products. And we applied for them and we got them. That year we sold the deli because crime was increasing in Oakland and it had become very unsafe. So we decided it wasn't worth our life. So we lost over 120,000, which was all the money we had brought across with us, and just cut our losses and walked away from the place. And then my husband said, get a job. I said, no, I need 2 years of my life. I'm already 45. I want to do this. And if it doesn't work, I'll go get a job. But if
So you were 45 and you had lost all your money.
Yep. It was a very...
And you were saddled with 3 kids.
3 kids, $70,000 we were minus. We owed $70,000 at that time. There was a time in December when even our groceries were coming on credit cards. But that's okay.
So what prompted you? They keep talking about passion and, the internal drive. But having done that, what prompted you to think that, tell your husband that, yes, give me a couple of years and I'll get this back on track?
I don't know. Everybody asks me that question. I don't know. When I believe in something, I just believe it. Instinct. I just felt this was going to work.
There's no logic.
There's no logic.
Just an emotional instinct.
Instinct, and every time over my lifetime, I followed my instinct and it's always proved right. So even to the point...
Where else did you follow your instinct?
In other things at home or in coming to the US, and then, my kids and my children and my husband, they all now don't question it when I say just do this, because I have this feeling this is going to work. Like coming up with a name, like, names for the products and all that stuff. But it's proved over and over again. So now I never question my instinct, and neither does the family.
So, but you had to persuade your husband to give you the 2 years.
Yes.
You've got a negative balance and you've got 3 kids.
I said, listen, if rent is involved, I'll give you the rent.
Catering.
I will do catering. I'll give you the rent. Don't worry about it. But I'm not going to commit myself to a 5-day-a-week job.
So then how did you then transform into
So
Sukhis?
what we did was, I used to rent a kitchen in Emeryville one day a week. I would go in the morning at 10 o'clock and make everything up. And then the family would come after school and work, and we would pack, bottle, and bring away 200 cases at about 1 o'clock at night. So we did this I did this for about 7 months. And then it was like, I can't do this. I can't sell the whole week and produce like this, carry 200 cases of bottles into the place. So it was going very stressful. So I started looking around for a place. Couldn't find anything less than 5,000 square feet, which was very expensive. We were not ready to get into that kind of money commitment. And one fine day, a gentleman called me and said, I hear you're looking for a place. And I said, yes, but I don't want a 5,000 square feet. So he said, no, 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 no. These are small places. They're 1,100 square feet. And I said, where? I mean, I was keeping my fingers and toes crossed. He said, it's 1,100 square feet and it's 75 cents a square foot. And it was in a Westgate Business Center in San Leandro. So it was security parking. I mean, it was the perfect place for where I could start. I asked the broker one day, I said, so who gave you my name? He said, I don't know. Somebody called me and gave me your name. And I went there and I said, this is it. I have to get this place. And again, my husband was very bashful. He said, listen, you know, we just got out of this rent situation that we were in the Delhi. You really don't want to get into another one. I said, I can't do it.
You said bashful, which is very interesting. The choice of word, bashful.
I think that's incorrect. He was very doubtful of what I was getting into.
Okay, now, okay, so he was not on board.
No, no, he never was on board for more commitment of our finances. Anytime we get into that,
usually it's the woman in the family that tends to do it.
Here's the other way around, and it's very lucky for us in this respect because he's always pulled the reins and we have never overspent, which is good. We are never worried about money. He runs the financial part of the company.
He runs the books.
He runs the books, and so it might not be the 100% best way, but he's a very safe player, and we always have money. We ask him, we want this machine. It's going to cost 120,000. And if he says yes, we go ahead and buy it. And he till today, he's never said no. So he obviously has the finances. We don't worry about it.
So now you found this place, and that's when you start Sukhis?
That's when we had started Sukhis. It wasn't called Sukhis at that time. I'd called it Quick and Easy Indian Foods.
Oh.
Because it was a simple way of producing Indian food. Sukhis came much later when the kids joined and they felt Quick and Easy was not that kind of a upscale name.
Which is about 10 years ago?
I think it was about 7 years ago.
So under Quick and Easy, you were making food.
Yes.
And you were selling them in farmers
markets and the stores. My goal in the first year was 100 Bay Area stores. I got into 110.
With what? What were your products?
I started off with only 3. And when I was sending things to Berkeley Bologna, realized that I'm spending the same amount of time and the same journey, samples, tasting, and why do I only have 3 products? I need to have some add-ons which are going to give me extra money. So I produced 3 chutneys and put them out there as well. So basically in the first few years, we did 6 products.
6 products.
Yeah.
And so you were coasting along, you were happy with your little company.
No, I wasn't happy. I was pushing to get ahead.
You were pushing?
Yeah.
But with the name like Easy, what did you say?
Quick and Easy.
Quick and Easy.
Indian foods.
That's not that doesn't catch your fancy.
So at that time, you know, Indian food was not known in the Bay Area. When we used to do demos at the stores, we would have about 30% of the people whom we could persuade to taste the food.
In the 1990s?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it started like 92 onwards. And 30% of the people to taste, and they would say, oh, no, 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 curry, I don't like it. And I said, taste it. If you don't like it, I have something, chutney, which you will enjoy eating. And 70% of the people would buy after they tasted it. But in that respect, I think we did a lot of groundwork in educating the Bay Area on what good Indian food was. Because one of the sentences I used to use is, good Indian food will never burn your palate. It'll always please it. So if you've eaten Indian food which your palate's been burned, it's bad Indian food.
Burning in the sense from the spices.
Spices, you don't get the flavor of the food. The spices are not flavoring the food, but they are the predominant taste that you get in your mouth. And that's not the way Indian food should be. You should always be able to taste what you're eating. You know, if you're eating garbanzo beans, they should feel that, you know, the garbanzo beans taste better, or the chicken tastes better. But if your mouth is hit with spices, that's not the right kind of Indian food.
Okay.
So we used to say all kinds of little catchy sentences we had to convince them to eat. And now it's to a point you do a demo, you have lines. Nobody wants to do it anymore because it's so exhausting.